Welcome, everyone, to Time to Thrive. I'm your host, Bethany Meadows, and today our guest is Fabienne Fredrickson. She is the founder of the Leveraged Business Program. She mentors other women in business how to scale their businesses based on the model she herself used to reach several million in revenues. She is the author of the book, The Leveraged Business, How You Can Go from Overwhelmed at 6 Figures to 7 Figures and Get Your Life Back. The book is designed as a roadmap for women to increase their income and impact without sacrificing their life balance in the process. That is a goal we should all have. Bottom line, she believes you can have a successful business and go on vacation without your laptop in tow. Welcome to the show, Fabienne.
Thanks for having me, Bethany.
I got to say, I've not gone on a vacation yet without my laptop in tow. So I'm really interested to hear how I can accomplish this. I, too, started my business as a mompreneur with 5 kids. I was a single mom, and I was homeschooling on top of it. So it was a pretty difficult season, time in my life, super busy. And I would say balance and self-care were pretty much non-existent for me. And then when I was doing research for the podcast and I was reading your website and some of your materials, and I learned that you take 14 to 16 weeks of an unplugged vacation.
Mostly.
Every calendar year. And that blew my mind. That's an amazing achievement. And so I can't wait to dive in, lean in, and learn from you.
Yeah, happy to share everything that we can fit in this time together.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm in the South. I know you're in Paris, France, and we were talking before the show about the heat wave that we're both having. But in the South, people want to, know who you are before they understand what you know.
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. How did you get to this place where you are right now?
Well, thank you for asking. I started my business in 1999, and I left corporate just because I realized it was soul sucking for me to be working.
That's a rat race.
And I thought, if I could just make the $65,000 a year in my own business that I had made yearly at the last job that I had selling ad space, then I would be good. I didn't have really big dreams. I just thought freedom is more important to me than anything. And then if I can also make an impact and make a difference in some people's lives, that would be great. And what happened is I had some really nice friends, benevolent friends, 4 of them who hired me. And I picked up a client here or there at a networking group, but I didn't have enough clients to pay my rent. I was floating my life and my business on credit cards. And I wasn't managing my money properly, and the credit card companies started calling, and they wanted their money.
All right, wow, that's super stressful.
What's that?
That is super stressful when that happens.
Yeah, and I didn't have anybody or anything to fall back on. And I called my dad in the middle of the night, and I just said, I haven't lied to you. My clients are getting great results, but I can't make this work. And he said, if what I know about you is correct, if when you want something and you want it badly enough, you're going to just do whatever it takes to make it happen. So you got to figure out how to get clients. I was like, oh yeah, duh. And I I'll put this part of the story super short. I tried a lot of things. There was a lot of stuff out there that worked well for other people, but it was a little bit too masculine for me, too going for the jugular. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure this is going to work. So I had to create a client attraction system for myself based on what felt comfortable for me.
Yes.
And otherwise, I wasn't going to market. I wasn't going to try to sell. I was going to try to be somebody who I wasn't. And anytime something worked, Bethany, I put it into this works box, imaginary, and I left all the rest. And at the end of 8 months, I had filled my practice to full capacity, and I had a client attraction system for myself. And my clients and my friends started noticing, how'd you fill your practice in 8 months? It's taken me, 4 or 5 years, and I'm still not there. And I stopped doing my first business. I opened up a business coaching practice 20 years ago, and I started teaching this client attraction system. Fast forward, I'm married, I have a kid, I'm at 6 figures, and my husband, who's super supportive even today, comes up to me holding the baby and says, "Are you sure that you want to take on any more clients? Because we never see you."
Oh,
And it was like my heart went down to my stomach. And listen, being in 6 figures is the top 5% of entrepreneurs in the world. And yet I was working evenings, weekends. We could never go on vacation without my laptop. I was always saying, to people, one more email and I will be right there. And if I wanted to take a Friday as a spa day, even a spa afternoon, a spa hour, I felt guilty. And I realized after a while that what gets you to 6 figures will never get you further. I knew I was made for more. I don't know if you feel that way, Bethany, but for me, I knew I was made for more. I was seeing other people making 20K, 50K a month. But I just didn't know how to access that. What I realized is what got me here will never get me to multiple 6, even 7 figures with my life back, the freedom that I wanted when I left corporate. And fast forward a few years, I figured it out. I'll reverse engineer all of this and explain exactly how to do it. And it's all in my book, The Leveraged Business, that you mentioned earlier. But basically, a few years later, it's 2008, the financial markets are crumbling. And that's the year that in 9 months, it's October, and I reach 1 million in my business. I never imagined, like literally, I mean, other than when I set my sights on it a year before, but years before. And the concept that I want to share with you is that to grow to multiple 6 and 7 figures, you actually have to work less.
wow, that's a concept.
Mm-hmm. You have to actually work a lot less. So it's harder to make 100,000 a year. This is going to sound controversial. It's harder to make 100,000 a year than it is to make 1 million a year.
Interesting. Well, I know I just want to unpack this in a way
Sure.
that makes sense for people who are listening.
Yep.
Let's start with the phrase, you can have it all.
Yeah.
Because we've been told that that's a myth, that's impossible, you can't have it all. But you talk about this mindset of creating the best version of what all means for you. And I say
Yeah.
all with air quotes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's something different for each of us. Let's start there.
Okay.
That mindset around all and you can have it all.
Okay. So I used to hear that and say, what does all mean? And I was borrowing everybody's version of having it all. So I played the game. I'm telling you, I'm a little embarrassed about it, but I played the game. I've got the really big house with the 13 bathrooms. Don't judge me. The cars, the staff and all that. Okay. I did that. And what I realized is that was somebody else's version of having it all.
Right.
So my company is called boldheart.com. The reason for that is because once I realized this insanity, because the more I spent to keep up with all the things, the more I had to work hard to
Right.
have the revenues continue to pay for this insanity. Now,
Yeah.
for me, that was insanity because it wasn't. This is the truth. It wasn't my version of having it all. My version of having it all is to have a ridiculously a large amount of downtime. I don't want to work more than a certain hours per day, a few hours per day. I don't want to go back to my laptop after dinner. I don't want to have 2 weeks of vacation per year. I know how this could seem, whatever it seems like to somebody. The whole idea of having it all is to take your ear to your heart and listen really hard to what makes you truly happy. What are your values? What is it that you put above money? Right? If you were to
Yeah.
rank, like for me, I put freedom above money.
Yes.
Some people put love and connection. I do too. It's up there above money, family, travel, all whatever, all my things. And so the whole idea of having it all is to not necessarily have what our society, our ads, our, the Kardashians on TV, like maybe that's having it all for them. But if you're listening to the things you're truly passionate about and you give yourself permission to build a business around that, then you can have it all. It's just all according to your values, all according to what makes you feel fulfilled and satisfied and happy and feel like, man, wow, this is my ideal life.
So basically, that key for reaching for having it all has to do with mindset. Has a lot to do with mindset, right? Um, and mindset plays a big role with entrepreneurs. I think more than they realize. What are some mindset shifts that really need to happen for people to kind of move beyond that limiting, like you had, like you mentioned before, that limiting belief, hey, if I just make 65,000 a year, make as much as I was in my job but have my freedom. And there was a limiting belief there, no expectation of what was possible for you.
Yeah.
So how did you shift it?
I taught a 3-day event for 14 years called the Mindset Retreat. I'm no longer teaching it. It's done. But and I'm happy to share how it went. Day one was always dream a bigger dream, and that was consciously coming up with a big goal, but a goal that would scare you. Now, we went obviously deeper because we spent a whole day on this, right? But to understand the way the world actually works is that anything is possible if you understand metaphysics, quantum physics, or if you believe in God or in scripture, or if you understand the law of attraction, right? First, it starts with a conscious goal, because if you don't have a goal, it's like trying to get from Los Angeles to New York. If you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there anytime soon. So first, it's about picking a goal, but a stretched goal, not something that you think you can do right away.
Right.
And what that does, that conscious goal it's supposed to feel out of your comfort zone. And the mindset piece is that it will bring up all of your limiting beliefs and fears. So if you say, I want to make $1 million in my business, consciously, that's what you say that you want. But if you don't believe it, if you don't expect it, if you think rich and successful people are sleazy, inauthentic thieves that take up too much space and they step on people to get, and they're whatever, all those things are the beliefs that are lodged into your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind, I hope we're not getting too technical here, but this is transformative. Your subconscious mind will tell you what you really believe. And it's all the fears, all the beliefs, and who you think you are, in the sense of what you think you deserve and are worthy of. So you've got this conscious goal, these subconscious beliefs that are either in alignment with that goal or in disalignment with that. And if your conscious is not in alignment with your subconscious, ain't ever going to happen. Why? Because The third piece, which is the action. So first day was thoughts, second day was beliefs, third day was action. And the action doesn't come from your conscious. And this is the really powerful thing. On Monday, I'm teaching a course for our members of the Bold Heart Business Program on visibility. And for most people, most people I know don't want to play a really big game because deep down inside, they have a fear of visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not even going to talk that much. It's a half day thing. I'm not even going to talk that much about all the ways to be visible because that's not what matters. What matters is the fear of visibility, the beliefs around what you think will happen if you are more visible, how to deal with the trolls, how to deal with the criticism, how to, all of that. It's all about creating a new self-image, new set of beliefs, calming down the fears. So because that's where actions come from. Actions, think about, like, many of us have tried to get more fit or reach, goals in our past, and we think we're going to do it with willpower. It's never going to come with willpower because the willpower is 5% of why you take action. Willpower will last 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, 3 hours, 3 minutes. All action comes from the subconscious. So what we're trying to do in terms of mindset is shift the beliefs, shift the identity, because the identity drives behavior, nothing else. So that's a long way of saying, for your actions to change, your thoughts and your beliefs need to be in alignment. And
I love that.
until you have that, your behaviors, your habits, and your actions will never change. You will never reach that million until you work on your mindset, which is why in our program, we have a mindset first methodology. We will not teach you how to do a webinar, how to do a launch, how to create a team, systems, or anything until we deal with the nonsense beliefs that you have.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you won't make the change.
Excellent. I mean, that was one of the things that really caught my attention about your program, because I did dive in through your website and explore that. One of the things I love is that you focus on one skill at a time. Like, you've laid out 8 skills, and it's 90 days that you spend on each skill. So there's mastery involved with that. Yeah. And that's a real commitment on the part of an entrepreneur to really lean in to the, to the program, the commitment to learn. The biggest thing that happens with people is it all sounds good. They sign up, they're excited for about 5 nanoseconds, and then they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Right? They don't take any action behind it.
Do you want to know why?
Please share.
Because the program is just targeted to their conscious. Right? So I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how to do that. And they're just feeding your brain with information. They're not even thinking about you taking action. They're just sorry, it's going to sound judgmental, but I've been in all the programs. Yeah. I am not somebody who naturally finishes what she starts. And if everybody could raise their hand, like most of us entrepreneurs don't finish what we start. Why? Because we're wired differently than the rest of the population. How do I know this? I've worked with tens of thousands of women, and I have them take assessments as part of 2 assessments as part of our program. And those assessments, 95% of us are people who love to start new things. We have lots of ideas, high idea generators. We're also not wired to finish things. And so we need structure for our nature, and we also need to change all of the beliefs about not deserving, not being good enough, being too much, not being enough, the criticism, what will they think, everything from, if I make more, I'll pay more taxes. All of those beliefs need to be removed so that you will take the actions that will actually create the results. So yes, mastery, you need to know what to do. Leverage a team. But so many people have the beliefs around the team that makes them not hire properly. And then when the person yet again, another person that they hire isn't doing it right, doesn't give it up to them on time, makes mistakes, and you take it back and you say, I could have just done it faster and better myself and saved some money, right? Again and again and again. That's because the other programs, or most people, just think about what to do, not let's remove all the reasons why it hasn't worked in the past. Let's provide some accountability. Let's create an implementation incubator. Let's remove the resistance, the procrastination, the belief that that is not for you. And let's surround you with a community of other people who are, it's an intentional community, who will be on the journey with you, because you need the community. This is what I've learned in 21 years. In isolation, in your office by yourself, whether your office is an office or whether your office is the dining room table or the spare bedroom, there is something called the law of diminishing intent. And the law of a diminishing intent states that the minute you get an idea, wow, that's a great idea. When you're by yourself, you've got 48 hours. 48 hours until the likelihood is you'll never put that idea in place.
Interesting.
Why? Why? Because in isolation, there is self-doubt. And so when you have whichever program it is, whichever community, but it has to be an intentional community, not the community of your neighbors, of your family, of your friends, because they're not entrepreneurial. They don't want to get to 1 million. And the minute that they think that you want to get to 1 million, they're going to, like the crabs in the bucket, they're going to bring you down. No, you want a community where a rising tide lifts all boats, and they want you to get to 1 million with 14 weeks of vacation just as much as they do. So what you do is you tell your idea when you're in this intentional community. You tell your mentors. You tell your accountability buddy. You tell everybody, your board of directors, right? What we call it, a masterminding pod in my business. You tell these people, oh my God, I have this idea. And now they won't let you talk yourself out of it. This is why if you go to, I'll just speak about my company because I'm proud of what I've created and I'm unapologetic about being proud of what I've created. But you go to boldheart.com, you go see the member stories at the top. That it's like people who have leaned on their community and said, this is what I want. Can you help me make this happen? And the minute you say, you know what, you guys, no, it's not for me, they'll be like, excuse me, can I remind you of your brilliance? Can I remind you how bit of a badass you are? You can do this. I'll call you. I'll help you. Use my script. Use my thing. Use my virtual assistant. Use my whatever. And this form of extreme generosity. This idea of we're all playing Monopoly and there's not one of us that's going to win. We're all going to win. So I'm going to hold you accountable. Let's implement together. That whole thing. Other people don't have that because they haven't been in the business long enough in creating a program to know how we are actually wired, that we need that kind of structure. We need that kind of community, or else we will talk ourselves out of it and we will not finish what we started.
Wow. There was a whole lot going on with what you just said. And when I started my business way back when, I was in survival mode, right? I was in that desperation of trying to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table and get through school every day.
Mom. Seriously, kudos to
Wow.
you.
But I had a lot of those mindset issues around that really held me back for a long time. And having a program like yours would have been a game changer for me back then.
Yeah.
You can move forward a lot faster when you lean into somebody who has that experience and can kind of shortcut you from going through all that trial and error, which is super painful. Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot longer to get where you want to go.
What I also notice is that when people are trying to get help in growing their business, they do a lot of looking sideways. What are they doing? What are they doing?
Mm,
Instead of looking up the ladder, and most people aren't being mentored by a seven-figure business owner or a multiple seven-figure business owner who is genuinely interested in you getting there as opposed to just taking your money, right?
right.
And so there's the person who's at that multiple seven figures, who cares about you, invested in giving you a hand up, has, if you look at the body of all possible knowledge, and imagine that it's a pie chart, there's a small sliver of the stuff that you know that you know. And then
Right.
there's another sliver of the stuff that you don't know. And then the rest of the pie
Mm-hmm.
is all the stuff that you don't know about leveraging a team, about creating systems so that everything runs without you and you're not needed in the day-to-day operations of your business. You've got the right systems, you've got the right team. They're wired exactly the way they should be for that position, this position. You have a culture of intrapreneurship. So now the team handles the systems, which means you're no longer in the day-to-day. You're no longer whack-a-moling your business. You're no longer putting out fires, which means you can use your time, leverage your time to work on exponential growth activities, but you're only working like 4 hours a day and you can start taking time off. Then you leverage your business model. This is the whole body of knowledge that most people don't realize, is that there are countless permutations of how you can deliver your work to your clients and customers in a way that where you work less, but you can work with more clients while you're still maintaining that high touch. And so when you've leveraged your team to leverage the systems, and now you leverage your time, this is all in the book, guys, right? Then you leverage your time to work on exponential growth activities, only working on the things that make you that you're exceptionally good at, and then you leverage your business model. Just even those four leverage things will get you to $500,000, if not $1 million, in a year or two. And I'm not saying thinner thighs in 30 days. You got to do the work, right? You got to show up,
Take action.
and you got to what we call it, follow the recipe. Don't overthink it. The recipe for cream cheese, it says cream cheese. It doesn't say anchovy paste. Do not try to do something else. Just follow the recipe, show up. And if you do everything that's in there, you will get to seven figures with 14 to 16 weeks of vacation. And it just requires being committed. Being like, you know what, I'm willing to do the work for a couple of years.
So you have two different tracks, I guess you could call them. You have the first track is really to get you up to that 10,000 a month level.
Yep.
And then once you're at that level, you kind of move into that second track. That's where you learn about systems and teams and things like that.
Exactly.
So in that first track, there's 8 growth activators, is what you call them.
Yes.
I know we don't have time to get into all of them, but maybe you could share about a few of them and why that moves the needle for an entrepreneur, why they need to know these things.
Yeah. So what I realized, because I taught for 10 years how to get to 10K a month, what I realized is at the expense of the exclusion of everything else. If you're not yet at 8 or 10K a month, 6 figures in your business, you got to focus on sales and marketing and sales. That's it. That's your number one thing, is how do I make money? So it's about what's going to make me the most amount of money with the least amount of time, the least effort, with the greatest long-term impact being the optional piece.
Right.
And what I've realized is, and I mentioned this earlier, is that when you are taught how to do marketing and sales that feels sleazy, inauthentic, too formulaic, but in a bad way, there's going to be kind of like I don't want to do it. And this is why most people put marketing on the back burner. They maybe get to it once a week, if not once a month. When you understand that marketing can actually be a divine tool, if you look at it that way, that you're not marketing at someone, you're marketing for someone, then, and your marketing is essentially a love letter. I know this is not the way people usually talk about marketing, but it's a love letter to the person that you want to be a hero to. Then you begin to approach marketing differently, and you start looking at being an omnipresent marketer. But it's a joy to do so. It's not like, oh my God, I have to do all these things. It's more like, you know what? This isn't about me. There are people at 3 o'clock in the morning who are tossing and turning in the middle of the night. They have a problem I can solve. It's my job to be more visible with high content, value, encouragement, appreciation, love, so that they find me and then they want to work with me. So I'll give you one of the activators for in the growth track, which is the one that gets you to 10K a month. Is I showed our members how to write a book in 90 days, and people at first are like, "I'm never doing that. That doesn't make sense." And then over the course of a whole day, I show them, I give them all the tools. We do the work in real time, not necessarily the writing of the entire manuscript. We do all the chapters. I show them that this isn't going to be, grapes of wrath, I don't know how many hundreds of pages that book is, but a lead generating book that you can have up and ready to go on Amazon on your website in 90 days. Then you do a book launch, and all of a sudden you're an expert in your field, even if you just started your business 3 months ago. And then you use that book to bring leads in. There's a whole lead follow through process thereafter. That's just like one of those things. But to think that most everybody wants to write a book, and that you can have it done in 90 days, that's a game changer. An author of a book that is the solution to what your clients want, that will help you get to 10K a month. So you've got 8 of these things that you can do that will get you to 10K a month. So just even doing all 8 will get you to more like 250 or 300.
Right. And I can definitely, because I can see the list of those 8 things, which, if people go to your website, which is boldheart.com, they can kind of explore what these activators are and get a better sense of, what they would see if they joined your program. But these are skills that people are learning. It's not abstract-y kind of thing. One of the things I would find in our marketing agency is that a lot of times when people came to us to hire us, I would ask them, what are they doing now? How are you marketing now? Let's start there.
Yeah.
And then they would tell me, and I'll say, well, why did you choose that? And they'll say, well, the salesman came in. And, so basically their whole marketing strategy was around whatever salesman showed up to sell them something.
Yeah.
And that's where they were marketing. What I can see in your program that's great is you're teaching skills. Once you have those skills, then you can apply them. This isn't just giving money to a salesman and getting, whatever happens. There's no intent. There's no strategy. Then you have, and in addition to those 8 growth activators or skills, which are great skills, you also have, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to say it right, innervators.
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 Those are the activators, and then you have the innervators.
Okay, I get it. So that's the mindset piece, right? It's
all the mindset piece, like getting over fear. There's one called, so the one I'm doing in a few days is visibility. There's one about discipline. Most of us, I don't know about you, but I mentioned it earlier, like most of us don't finish what we start. And then we're working so hard and we're thinking, where are the results? I've had to overcome that by having structure for my nature to help me be more disciplined. Everything from what I listen to on YouTube, like what brainwave technology, what I do with my calendar to make sure that I actually finish what I start, how I get accountability from people, who I pay to do what. It sounds crazy, but when when you have that discipline, you can get done in 3 hours what you would normally do in about a week and a half. So there's one about that. Believe it or not, there's one on faith. And I don't mean religious faith. I mean how to have faith in yourself, how to have faith in your goals. How do you show up and have that mental strength that comes from that? Lots of good stuff like that. It's all that inner work, the mindset that needs to be there. Without the mindset, I have not seen it work.
Yes, I agree. The times we're in are very uncertain. That's like the understatement of the year.
Seriously.
I think over the last couple of years, the keyword was pivot. Uh,
Mhm.
Now the keywords is wow, uncertain times. Like, so how can a business future proof against the uncertainty in the marketplace?
So we have the incredible benefit as entrepreneurs to dictate how much money we make. We dictate how much money we make by several things. The first one, by how much we market, by how nimble we can be, where big corporations will take years to use your
Sure.
word, pivot, right? We could
Right.
just like change on a dime. But what I will say is that when you understand that you, with the right mindset, with the right belief systems, you create your own economy. You are not waiting for somebody to give you a paycheck. And so I'm going to say something that's going to sound super controversial, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I know that the last couple of years have been extraordinarily tough for everybody. Okay. A lot of people lost people. A lot of people lost money and jobs and all of that. I just want to say something that I started sharing. I thought about it for myself and I started sharing it with just the people in my inner circle. I said, what if what's being presented to us now is one of the most wonderful things that ever happened to you? I know how that sounds. Please do not shoot the messenger. If and to look at the last couple of years through that filter, they were able to give themselves permission to do the thing that they'd never been able to do before. A lot of people pivoted to a different business. A lot of people stopped doing things in person and their profit margins went way up. It's just a way of approaching life. It's not, I can't do something. It's how can I do something? And so the way that you future proof your business is to change the glasses that if the glasses aren't working, you put them down and you put a new set of glasses with looking at the opportunity. Not what's not going well, is what could be good about this, and then jump on that.
Love that. If and I know we're kind of running out of time, we're bumping up against it, but what would be the one thing if someone had one takeaway to have for this time that we spent with you? What would be that one thing you would want them to remember or learn or lean into?
I will say that if you apply the concept of leverage to your entire life, it will create a life, a lifestyle, a business, a family, everything that you actually enjoy. And the concept of leverage is to do less better. It's about using the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule.
Hmm.
If you look at the fact that 20% of the things that you do produce 80% of your results, and conversely, 80% of the things you do only produce 20%, why are you doing those 80%? Lob them off. Take that 20%, creating the 80%, and just make that, increase that to 80%. And now you have a compound effect. When I highly recommend that you, I'll just say this. I'm very proud of the book that I wrote. So I highly recommend that you read
Yes.
The Leveraged Business, but you start thinking in that way. Why am I doing all of this when all of this is a waste of my time? And you approach your team, your systems, even your groceries, even your packing, approach the kids' birthday parties in that way. Just think in terms of leverage. And I hope that's one of the biggest things. If we never see each other again, I hope that you take this away and that it somehow creates a catalyst in your life for years to come. That would be my greatest joy.
Wonderful. Fabienne, thank you so much. There's so many good nuggets in here, and I know our audience got a lot out of it. Tell them where they can find you. I mentioned your website earlier, boldheart.com. Is there anywhere else that you would want them to connect with you?
At the top of the boldheart.com page, you have the book. You can get it there. You can go to the leveragedbusinessbook.com to read more, get the video series, all that stuff. And then you can find me on all the social medias at either I am Boldheart or Fabienne Fredrickson, all those places. And I hope that you keep in touch.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fabienne.
Thank you, Bethany.